The projection was for 22,300 students to return to the district's 11 high schools. By the end of last week, the actual enrollment number was close to the estimate. But as one district official points out, that still means an overall decline in the number of students.
On a year-to-year basis, we are losing between 1,000 and 2,000 students per year.
But on the brighter side, Alhambra and East High schools have more students than expected. Meanwhile, the schools saved from closing for 1 year by an override election, North, Phoenix Union, and West, are still down in enrollment, and now Central High has joined them. There's been a big drop in enrollment here at West High School. Apparently, some students decided to transfer, fearing that this school would eventually close. So instead of a projected 2,000 students, there are 1,500. And fewer students means less money, which translates into fewer teachers and fewer classes.
We have lost certain classes, such as our German class and our advanced level mathematics classes. The most significant effect, however, has simply been a cutback in the number of sections of a particular course that's being offered.
Recent legislation has kept schools with declining enrollments from falling further into debt, but they're still having to face escalating costs. District officials say it's still too early to predict whether high schools like West will be open again next year. Susan Taylor, Cool News 10.
Once the Central Arizona project is underway, hopefully by 1985, during good years you can expect this aqueduct to be brimful, bringing about 2 million acre-feet of water from the Colorado River into central Arizona. But during drought years, the problem becomes a little more difficult. The water in this aqueduct could drop to 1/4 that amount, and that makes the problem of deciding who gets how much that much more difficult. During drought years, farmers are able to cope by reducing the amount of acreage they have under cultivation. But cities need a dependable supply year in and year out. That's why the Water Commission recommended that when it came time to divvy up the water from the CAP, the city should be given an amount equal only to the firm supply, or about 500,000 acre-feet. But news stories last week raised the possibility that in an effort to get more water to the Indians, the man who officially divvies it up, the Secretary of the Interior, may have decided to give that firm supply to the Indians. The result was a flood of panicky calls to state water officials. The fact is, the Indians were never in line for the full dependable supply of CAP water. But it's doubtful that will make the eventual decision on who gets how much any more popular with the other CAP users. For the underlying problem persists, which is that in all likelihood, the Indians will be getting more water, whether from a firm supply or not, which means that the farms or the cities, or possibly both, will still have to get along with less CAP water. But after a meeting today in Washington with Secretary of the Interior Cecil Andrus, Governor Bruce Babbitt indicated he's optimistic that major trouble spots have been worked out.
Basically what we have is a water management problem. Too many users, too little water, and a question of how that water is managed and allocated in a way that does maximum good, maximum justice to everybody. Now, I don't think we reached any conclusions today, but I go away feeling on behalf of my constituency in Arizona that we have a much better feel for what the problems are. I'm satisfied that the department is getting a good fix on the problems, and that the chances for getting this thing wrestled to the ground in acceptable fashion have improved a great deal.
Burt Kennedy, Cool News 10.
He is called the watchdog of Apache Junction. Joe Saggio, though small in stature, tends to create large controversies, and last night he started a new one by launching a petition drive. If he acquires the approximately 3,000 signatures to make that drive successful, the city government of Apache Junction will be dissolved. The reason, he says, a lack of responsible local government and broken promises of no taxes.
They haven't kept a single one. They've implemented a sales tax. They've implemented a utility franchise tax, which has been passed on to the consumers' utility bills. They've passed quite a number of ordinances that harass the people, building ordinances and so on and so forth. And all they've done is antagonize the people of the city.
I believe the incorporation committee, of which I was not a part of, made promises in a brochure form. I believe the only city council promise has been no city property tax. I don't believe there's been any other promises from the city council.
If the city government is dissolved, the community would lose its police force along with organized planning. Saggio says they won't miss those services.
Even those that are supposed to be provided, we'd be willing to give up, but actually we're giving up nothing because we're getting less services now than we did before we were incorporated.
But the mayor feels reverting to county government would be a loss.
We have one supervisor on the county level who has 3 places, Superior, Florence, and Apache Junction, whereas when you have home government, it's like a home for the people. If you don't like it, come to us, tell us, and let's look at it.
Are you afraid of losing your city?
I'm not afraid of it. I would be very disappointed, very disappointed.
Whether or not the citizens of Apache Junction will be disappointed at the prospect of losing their new city remains to be seen. They must choose if they are even more disappointed in their new city government, and if so, if unincorporating the city is the answer. Misty Chauncey, Cool News 10 in Apache Junction.
Earlier this week, American cable television began putting in junction boxes in front of homes in Tempe Gardens. All of the boxes are along the sidewalk. Some are centered right in the middle of the lots. Residents are none too pleased.
The neighborhoods where the boxes have been in a couple of weeks, they're already leaning over at an angle. I just think it's unsightly for the whole neighborhood.
Residents here say their neighborhood was designed to avoid just such clutter. All the power lines were placed underground, and telephone boxes were installed in the backyards.
Rodriguez worries his property value will suffer as a result of the metal boxes, so he's circulating a petition he plans to present to the city council.
All I'm asking is that they either put these boxes underground or up against the houses where they won't detract from the appearance of the neighborhood.
Officials at American Cable TV could not be reached for comment, but a Tempe city councilman told us he hoped they would show the same cooperation they did residents of another neighborhood, Alameda Estates.
We had some very unhappy citizens in that area. We had some installations that were certainly less than desirable. American Cable did work with the city and with the citizens, and they were moved.
The junction boxes were reinstalled 20 feet back from the road, which in most cases, says Swab, was next to the house. He also says he thinks the majority of the council will do everything it can to help the residents out. Kim Hawkins, Cool News 10.
The Central Avenue Bridge in Phoenix and the Mill Avenue Bridge in Tempe have become like the middle of an hourglass. Except instead of sand, thousands upon thousands of cars are trying to squeeze through the narrow bottlenecks. The resulting backups are enormous, and commuting across the river has become an agonizing test of patience.
About the only way to get from one side of the river to the other this morning without experiencing the frustration of this bumper-to-bumper crawl was to fly over it. And that's exactly what a number of people did today.
Desert Air Service has started what may be the shortest scheduled airline flight in Arizona, from Falcon Field in Mesa to Sky Harbor in Phoenix.
Well, right now we're running 3 airplanes. We're running out of Mesa on the hour, out of Phoenix on the half hour. These are 10-place airplanes. They fly at 250 miles an hour, so it's a 9-minute flight from one airport to the other.
What is the cost?
We're charging $10 right now.
For many of these weary commuters and travelers, the shuttle has been a lifesaver.
Because we have no other way to get to the airport. My folks live in Mesa, and they told us it'd be an 8-hour drive across the bridge, and people running out of gas. This is the only way we have to get there.
Without these planes, would you make your flight today?
No way, no way.
I fly over in the morning and fly back in the afternoon.
Without these planes, would you be able to make it to work, or would you even try to go through that traffic?
I wouldn't try it, not for a 5-hour drive one way. That's what they said last night on the news. It took 5 to 6 hours to get across the river, and I wouldn't fight that kind of traffic.
The planes have been flying full since the weekend, and you'll need a reservation to get on board. But then you can sit back and enjoy the 9-minute flight above the clogged madness below. Peter Van Sant, Cool News 10.
It was moving-in day for the more than 4,000 ASU students assigned rooms in university dormitories, but it was standing-in-line day for several hundred other students, mostly freshmen and transfers, who want a dorm room but don't have one, at least not yet.
Well, I applied late, about March, and then they told me the rooms were all booked up, and I had to come out here this morning, try and get a dorm room.
You've been here for 4 hours.
Yeah, that's all.
At the front of the line is the opportunity to sign a waiting list and the chance to get a room in case the student already assigned to it doesn't show up. Some students complained about other students cutting in front of them in line, and some students just complained about having to stand in line.
They should have a different system. They have 2 people in about 600 people here. They have 2 people taking care of this information. It's really ridiculous.
They make it so that you've already sent in your $50 deposit, and okay, you think that assures you a better chance of getting a room, or it doesn't really matter, so it seems like if the college has been open since 1962 or something, they should have a better system of distributing dorm rooms than this.
It is an annual problem, but university officials say it's not as bad this year as it has been in the past, so most students with rooms know what students without rooms are going through.
I didn't get one my first year, so I stood in line from about 6 o'clock on Thursday morning, and they had a bunch of empty rooms left. So there's always is every year. There's at least, and in my dorm there's at least 20 rooms that people don't show up for. You have no problem after the first year.
Most students who want a dorm room will eventually get one, but some won't. And for those who don't,
have to go for an apartment or something. We're at about twice the money. So I just hope it doesn't come to that.
Don Kane, Cool News 10.
The game of golf has never been a poor man's game. To get a decent set of clubs alone can cost you anywhere between $200 and $300. And now the Phoenix City Council is thinking of raising the greens fees it charges on city courses.
That'd be $6 each.
Currently, golfers on city courses like this one pay $6 a round. The city's proposal, $7.50 a round. For many, an increase of 25% is too much.
I think public golf courses should get along on more, and I think this one is capable of supporting itself without that much of a raise.
The city, as you can tell, is probably not as well maintained. They might put it towards maintaining them better.
This afternoon, the city council met on the issue. Their verdict?
The council reaffirmed that the golf courses would be self-supporting, as they've been for at least the last 10 years, and that non-residents of Arizona would pay a higher fee than the residents of the state of Arizona. And I think it was a very fair solution to the situation.
The fee increases are scheduled to go into effect on February the 1st. Anthony Martinez, Cool News 10.